There's our update. Okay, so we are over Slate Springs at this moment. We're between Big Creek and Calhoun City, probably in this zone, very near County Road 346. Let's see if wind is better at this moment. We should see a new scan on that wind here in a second. There we are. There's 2 or 3 areas here where I could argue back here in the Grenada and Calhoun County we have tornadoes. At the very least, this is probably 50, 60 mile per hour winds along that whole line. And so though I want to try to put on here the specific, and people always say, oh, you nail it down to exactly where the tornado is. Well, I can't say right now exactly where the tornado is in this line. There's a couple areas where it could be. We're just too far away from the radar site to be able to nail it down. So let's play the general game. Generally speaking, let's include too many folks in the track and not too few. So Sabagula, apologize, 10:32 a.m. 10:37 a.m. for Derma, Calhoun City at 10:39 a.m., Tyson at 10:43, Pittsboro at 10:47, Bruce at 10:51, Buckhorn at 10:59. I'm going to drag it a little farther out and capture a couple other folks, such as Randolph and Sarepta, both between 11 and 11:10, and Takapola at 11:15 on this track for this line. A couple spots in this line where it could potentially be a tornado. Let's widen it out. Let's double check how it's looking for all locations, as I'm also going to go down on the storm that we're sending Joel to. He's trying to get in front of this line back here for Winston and Noxubee counties. You can see our tornado warnings, our severe thunderstorm warning back into Yalobusha County. We'll check on that here in a moment as well. Looking south, a couple areas down here, and Jackson's probably going to have a slightly better angle on this. We are getting a number of pictures sent in on Facebook, it looks like.
All right.
So let's check some of those from Duck Hill, I believe.
Okay.
You probably want to do that on Weather 3.
Gotcha.
To be able to check that, and I think it's the Weather Facebook, and that's probably where you're going to want to be for a while.
Okay.
Okay, so a couple areas here. This is easily straight line winds. A couple areas where there's going to be some rotation trying to move in, including near the Handle community there. Wind out of Jackson. Those aren't quite as impressive as some of the other things we have farther north. Looking for debris. At this moment, I don't see it. So, good. But this also is an area down here that has more instability. And so as this moves into Noxubee and Winston counties, well, it's already in southern Winston County. I'd say Louisville, you're going to be fine from this, but southeast of there, still some questions. So let's continue to move that northeast. Let's go on that whole line there. As you can see, Macon, we're looking at about 11 a.m. for you. And then as you'll notice, DeKalb there, and a lot of folks that are south of our area a little before that. Sugarlock at 10:55. Millington there at about 11:06, and 11:10 for the Giles community. Okay, and I don't know what's playing so loud there, but we have something playing in the background here. But you can hear tornado warnings being issued there in the background. Wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar from the radar site out of, this would be out of Monroe County. And let's check some of those. Okay, so that, let's go up a scan here. Let's get the latest track on this, and we do have some reports coming in. So let's track along that leading edge there. And there are 2 areas there, north of Slate Springs, between that and Calhoun City and near Retreat, that definitely are, we got to be very, very careful with. So Calhoun City at most, because radar's slow today. For whatever reason, radar's running really slow. The Monroe County one is. Every other one's fast, but this one's slow for whatever reason. At 10:40 for Calhoun City. That's the middle part of town. We live on the southwest part of town, 10:38. Current time's 10:34. So we're now 4 minutes or less for you. Rotation that could potentially be a tornado. So we've got to be careful with that. Okay, now you're bringing this up on Weather 3. correct?
Well, this is not a picture. This is a report we got sent to us that power lines and trees are down in Montgomery County, and that's from Maddie.
Okay, so power lines and trees down in Montgomery County, did they say where?
They did not say where, just, you know, sounds like there could be quite a few down.
Okay. Okay. So we will check that out. Reports that basically they're just too many calls coming in right now. That's not a good sign. And by the way, new tornado watch issued moments ago that I'm guessing is probably going to encompass another good chunk of the WTVA viewing area with that. Let's check ahead and see. And there it is. There's kind of like the rest of us in advance under that tornado watch. I think the county by county watch is not out at the moment. It's not out quite yet. So you'll see that pop up here in a minute. But the new tornado watch issued because this is it. For those folks out there that are, well, what about later today? Right now, this is it. What we're having right now, what's occurring right now is going to be our threat for the day. I'd be shocked if we have a rebirth of thunderstorms this afternoon. The most intense part is now. So if you're under one of these tornado warnings in Calhoun County, or if you're anywhere in this watch that's been issued, and that watch is going to be in effect until 7 p.m., excuse me. This is the zone that we're watching. By the way, it's 7 p.m. primarily for the far eastern section of it here. It's the next couple of hours. It's what's occurring right now farther west. So reports continue to come in of wind damage. Did you ever get the chance on it would be, huh? Give me a moment here. I'll see if I can get logged in and pull that up there. We're getting reports out of Duck Hill. At least some reports a little bit ago that folks were sending in some pictures. Let's see if we can share, and I'll pull this up if you give me just a moment here. So this coming from Duck Hill, and I believe this is Willie that sent in this photograph here, and I'm going to give you this so that you can control where we have him. Let's take Alan's mic down for a moment. So at least some kind of power pole there that was knocked over because of their, I mean, you have trees that were down. This is Duck Hill that these were sent in. Now this doesn't look like for sure tornado damage, but you certainly have some trees that are leaning there. So this is maybe not in that tornado category. Power lines down, as you can see. I appreciate all of his reports. Willie, he sent that directly to us just a minute ago, so we appreciate his report. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that for a second. So that was out of the thunderstorm there that moved through Montgomery County. Montgomery County, by the way, canceled out of that tornado warning. If you live in Montgomery County, you can come out of your tornado safe place. But this is definitely, I mean, more reports of damage. So we need to pass that along to the Weather Service if we can. Alan? We need to pass along those reports from Montgomery County on computer 3. Make sure that the Weather Service has those.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this is, and that was Montgomery County near Duck Hill. Let's go ahead and mute his mic. And Calhoun County there. We're looking at the wind mode. We're going to look from Jackson. Still just lots of straight line wind for sure. Couple areas here near Calhoun City, between that, out toward Big Creek. Those are the zones there where we have the strongest wind gusts on that line. Continuing to move northward, and is it possible that it's producing tornadoes? Yeah. Tornado damage, we check for tornado debris. We don't have that at this moment. I do have a little something there near Bear Creek, excuse me, near Big Creek, but at this second I cannot say for sure that that is rotation, that for sure is a tornado. So let's, I mean, you can see what I'm looking at here. We're looking too high up in this. Whatever's happening is happening really close to the ground, because tornadoes happen on the ground. So Schoona, if you live in Calhoun City, you have to be in that tornado safe place. Pittsboro, whatever this is just about on top of you, between you and Calhoun City on Highway 9. And it's likely still producing at least straight line wind damage. And I don't know why this radar is lagging behind, because it's on all systems we have here where it's doing it. Okay, so between Schoona and Pittsboro, I put it very near County Road 300, a couple areas. I put it right there, and I know it looks like nothing, but we're just looking so high up. Right there is where our rotation is at this moment, moving toward Pittsburgh. Bruce obviously very close. So based upon that, about 50 to 55 miles per hour, it's been moving. I'm going to include both those locations in this. We're now down to 4 minutes in Bruce. We're down to 8 minutes, 4 minutes in Pittsburgh, 8 minutes in Bruce, as that moves north and east. Could it be a tornado? It's definitely possible. There have been enough reports of damage that we're making that assumption that this is still a tornado as it moves northeastward. Near Schoona and Big Creek, there's another area of rotation pretty close to you. This says 6 minutes in the Schoona. That's assuming that 50 miles per hour. I'm going to go back up to 55. I just feel more comfortable with that. So the rotation near County Road 321, Bounds, now, Schoona, and I know there's a lot of folks that live in Schoona, but no one necessarily lives in the intersection of Schoona. Very few people there. So it's general Schoona area pretty much now. Within the next 5 minutes, it's there. Multiple areas where we see rotation that could potentially be something. Hey, Mike, can we get on the horn with John? Yeah. And actually, just there, hold on, now, very near Calhoun City as well. As you can see, between Calhoun City and Pittsburgh there, that area there is where there's rotation, near Big Creek, and just a little west of that as well. We're on the phone trying to get information out of Calhoun County, but I don't want that information to be from you. I want you to be in your tornado-safe place on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure, and let's stay there. So current time is 10:40 a.m. Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside meteorologist Alan Matthews. We continue to track storms with the potential to produce tornadoes. Northward is where they're tracking. They're all tracking into and through Calhoun County at this second. It's at least where the strongest are. Back into Yalobusha County. We haven't talked much about you. There are areas where there is rotation. It's not the same, it's not as impressive as in Calhoun County. We look at the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar, and in all cases, we're looking really high up. And so, unfortunately, it's not going to give us a whole lot of clarity. So we're just treating this as maybe at least wind damage, possibly tornadoes. And so tracking along the leading edge of that strongest wind that is now through Coffeyville and Yalobusha County, moving up toward Lafayette County. Again, this is straight line winds primarily, maybe something more. Water Valley at 10:52, current time is 10:42, so we're 10 minutes or less for you. Springdale Community at 10:58, Taylor at 11:03, Oxford at 11:12, Denmark Community at 11:15, Abbeville at 11:23, and 11:27 for Spraggins. Flash flooding reported by the emergency manager down in sections of Grenada County. We haven't touched on this, but this is another issue that we have to watch. And it's the fact that, that these storms are going to produce quite a bit of heavy rainfall, and that there will be some flash flooding issues out there. I mean, you can see there's a lot more rainfall still to come. We talked about this on Friday. I know I mentioned it for sure. I know John mentioned it yesterday. The flash flooding might steal the show. There's a lot of heavy rainfall back there, so after this line comes through, there will be some flash flooding issues to contend with still out of these thunderstorms today. There are flash flood watches in effect that encompass much of the viewing area, on top of those tornado watches that have been issued and tornado warnings that we still have in effect. They have issued, a little bit ago, the most recent severe thunderstorm warning that now includes all of eastern Winston and western Noxubee counties. Straight line winds primarily out of this line. Movement on this, I'm keeping still about 50 miles per hour or so. That might be just a hint fast. A few areas here where there could be some rotational interactions. Scripps Mill right now, Fair Hill at 10:55, Brooksville at 11, Macon at 11:04, X-Prairie at 11:11, and Prairie Point at 11:06. And as we look, 11:16, and as we look at the wind on this from Jackson, I mean, just south of the Winston County line, near the intersection there of Winston and Noxubee counties, that is where there is a little rotation on this. We'll check from a couple different radar sites here. Monroe County on the northern end there. I mean, you can argue a little bit there west of Meshulaville. So look at the wind from there. Yeah, a couple areas there near Handle where there's a little rotation, but that's just on the leading edge. There's not a definite, like, kink. The winds, you notice the storms up north are at this angle. This is that. It might not seem like a big difference, but coming at this angle, everything's right to produce a tornado. At that angle, it's still trying to get organized. So I'm not going to dwell on this. It's possible near Golston, near Moshuleville, there's certainly going to be some strong straight-line winds. We'll see what happens as we get a little closer. But that is still an evolving situation as opposed to a provable situation with all the reports of damage that we've had up here north. That's why we're saying this is still somewhat of a provable situation here. My rotation. This is all we got on radar. It is at least straight line winds right here, encroaching on Bruce. We're over top of Pittsboro right now. So let's come in closer on this. And if you do have reports to give us after the fact, not before this comes through, you're not going to see anything but rain and then all of a sudden damage as this comes through. But after the fact, if you have reports that you can send us, send them to either email weather@WTVA.com. You can send them in on Facebook and Twitter, and we appreciate that. But don't do that beforehand, do it after the fact. And so let's track the leading edge of where we'll see some spin-ups. This is less likely to be these long track, considerable damage tornadoes than it was even 30, 40 minutes ago. But it's still possible here that we get a tornado that's either spinning up or 60-mile-per-hour wind damage. Shepherd Community, 10:48 a.m. Bruce, 10:50. Matthews at 10:59. Sarepta at 11:02. So you can see that on your screen. Let's talk tornado definition, what we have right now. And what we don't have is a tornado that's been spotted. We probably won't have a spotted tornado the rest of the morning. I say that because looking through this heavy rainfall, you're just not going to be able to see anything. So even though our meteorologist Joel Young, trained spotter, has history doing this, is he going to be able to see a tornado in this line as it comes in? The answer is probably not. So we're dealing with not confirmed debris on radar, not storm that's been spotted, and so we have that rotation. It's been persistent rotation. And there's a fourth factor here in why this has been issued. We've had so many reports of damage that the National Weather Service has continued to issue these. And I agree with that decision because when you have so many confirmed reports of damage over such an extended period of time like this, you have to assume that the tornadoes are still continuing to be capable of producing that damage. And so that's the assumption they're making. I think it's probably the correct assumption at this time. We did, hello, can you hear me? Okay, give it just a moment here. We're going to get some information on the air at this moment. But here's what we need to be. If we live in Calhoun County, we need to be out here in our tornado safe place, on a sturdy structure on the lowest floor, on the middle.
Tanya.
Okay, where's she at?
She told the EMA director.
Okay, Tanya, this is our Tanya Cotter from WTVA News with some information coming in here. Tanya, what do you got?
Right. The Montgomery County EMA Director, Alan Pratt, just called me to inform me that Kim Michael just got hit really hard after he spoke with us at WTVA. He is warning everyone, if you are not a first responder, do not be out on the roads. Only first responders are allowed out right now because he said they got hit really bad in Kilmichael, and he should be sending us some pictures just to let us know what the storm damage looks like there. So again, if you are not a first responder in Kilmichael, please stay off the roads.
Okay, that's our...
That's the latest that we got, Matt.
Okay, Tanya, did he mention any reports of injuries?
No. Right now, they really don't know because, again, after he spoke with us earlier today, he really did not anticipate any kind of storm damage, but then they got hit really bad. I'm also getting this also from the Winona Police Chief, Tommy Bibbs as well. He is saying, too, that Kim Michael got hit really bad. You may remember the last time we did have a storm come through that area. They had a lot of down trees, a lot of down power lines, and they had to have some road closures in that area. But this time it sounds like it's pretty bad, and hopefully we'll be able to get more of an update to find out if there were any injuries once they do an assessment, just to find out exactly what kind of damage has occurred there in Kilmichael.
Okay, that is our Tanya Carter. She's on the phone with us this morning after talking with the emergency manager there in Kilmichael. Lots and lots of reports there in Montgomery County of damage. Was it tornado damage? It at least was straight line wind damage. We've talked a lot about the possibilities, the maybes, the questions that we have here. And unfortunately, you know, we don't usually get to figure out exactly what we have until after the fact. And so that's the problem we have here, is till after the fact we're still trying to figure out what it is. We do have reports at least of some other damage coming in. This, I believe, is from the Slate Springs area. And give me just a moment here to get this on the air. And just so you know, because of the tornado watch in effect, the city of Tupelo has gone ahead and opened their tornado shelters just in case. This picture coming in a few minutes ago via Twitter from Slate Springs. Unfortunately, I'm not getting the name on this, but this picture there of what, as you can see, is at least a big tree that was knocked down there in Slate Springs. So we've had lots of tree damage, loads of tree damage. Is it straight line winds that's causing it, or is it a tornado? Doesn't matter, because trees in the houses, usually when tornado comes through, it's a tree into a house that hurts you or that destroys the house. And so we have so many trees around here, that's the issue. So does it matter if it's a tornado? The answer is really it doesn't. In Bruce, that's the reason we need you in your tornado safe place, because there's going to be tree damage from this. I can see, barely see, on the precipitation mode here, what's probably wrapped up. There's probably 2 areas here, but I would say this, just north of Bruce, just east of Highway 9 West, between Bruce and Sarepta there, that's probably where our rotation is. That's where our potential tornado is at this moment. It's probably at least straight line winds. We need to make sure that these reports of damage are making it to the Weather Service. So make sure that we're typing it in chat if we can. Is chat logged in on this computer over here? Can you log in on your chat on that computer over there? Let's go ahead and do that. We need to make sure the Weather Service is getting these reports. They need to know this so that they can continue to make the right decision on continuing to issue these warnings, which frankly are needed in either severe thunderstorm or tornado warning capacity because of these reports of damage coming in. So make sure they know that report of damage from Slate Springs. Make sure they know of the report Tanya just reported, all that damage down there in Kilmichael. Let's do that, and then we can go from there. So wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. North of Bruce, and there it is, right there. I mean, we're high enough up, it's barely going to show up on here, and I can just barely see it picked up. That little circulation there on County Road 130 between Bruce and Sarepta. When people imagine late April, they think of these giant tornadoes and these huge thunderstorms, and oh my gosh, I can see that tornado. None of that happens, and none of that is what is going on today. This is all really, really difficult to pick out stuff. This is rain-wrapped. This is strong winds that are in the middle of nowhere here. And if I were to take off where it says tornado warning on the top of your screen there for just a second, and I were to show you on my scale on the top here, from light to heavy, and usually we're up in this zone when we're looking at severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. We're down in this zone here, right? I mean, this right there, the intersection of, I think, Highway 9 West there and Highway 9, that's where our rotation is. And we're down here in the yellows and greens, because what's happening at the surface is next to impossible to see because we're too high up. Now, the National Weather Service in Memphis is going to be going with a severe thunderstorm warning upstream with this. This is still a damaging thunderstorm, but the reason they're doing that is because they're looking in this zone here. They may or may not be getting our reports of the damage that's coming in, and so they're still going with that possible and maybe on this, even though we know for sure whether it's a tornado or not, it is a damaging thunderstorm there. So near Sarepta is where that is. Tracking that northeastward. And so I'm going to include eventually Ecru. I'm going to do a long track on this. Takapola 13 minutes for you, Thaxton 18 minutes, Ecru 27 minutes, 36 minutes into New Albany, Cotton Plant, that's a long ways in advance of this, in 43 minutes. Let's track along the entire line, which is likely producing at least sporadic wind damage. Now through Water Valley, just within the last couple of moments here. Northeastward, Pontotoc, Ecru, Hickory Flat, all locations in front of this. You can see there Taylor at 11:01, Oxford 11:10, Pontotoc 11:13, Ecru 11:22, New Albany at about 11:33, and obviously we're tracking well ahead of this as we continue to watch these thunderstorms and all the potential that they have to be producing damage. More information coming in from our Tanya Carter, who continues to monitor some of the severe weather reports. Tanya, what do you have?
Well, Matt, I just got off the phone again with the Montgomery County EMA Director Alan Pratt, who says that they will be shutting down power in the town of Kilmichael just because of the severe damage that they are experiencing right now. You have a lot of down power lines, you have a lot of down trees, and it's to the point that they're shutting down the power just to ensure the safety of everyone there in the town of Kilmichael. The good news, Alan Pratt right now is not reporting any injuries, so that is the good news, but the bad news is that they're getting ready to shut down the power just to ensure the safety of the people there in the town of Kilmichael. I asked for an ETA as to how long they think the power will be shut down, and he, right now, does not have any indication. But again, the town of Kilmichael hit very hard. Power's about to be shut down. No injuries have been reported. Matt.
Okay, that's our Tanya Carter down in Montgomery County. And the headline there, though the power's being shut down, no injuries to be reported. And we'll hopefully get an update on the time they start to bring that power back. But that was from a tornado, possible tornado. We go back, and this is what we were talking about earlier, how on radar this is not going to look amazing, but you could see there how it did try to wrap up that little notch there as it continued to move toward the north and east. And then from there, it tracked towards Slate Spring, where we showed you that wind damage picture just a few minutes ago. From there, it continued tracking northeastward in the direction of Calhoun City and Bruce, and so that brings us to present time, where now we're tracking that same area very close to Sarepta. Now, you've noticed the intensity of these returns has dropped off substantially, but there's still that rotation there. There's still likely straight-line wind gusts, and so a lot of questions, as we had back then, as to whether or not it's producing. But no question as to whether or not we have had substantial damage on numerous occasions. And so that's why I ask you, I encourage you, I would hope that you would be able to help us and by staying in your tornado safe place, as opposed to getting out and about and trying to just see what you can see. Let's stay there even after this comes through. Let's stay home and not try to go and get out in this, because down power lines, the last thing I want is we have some folks in down power lines going trying to help. You always want to stay away from those. They can be very, very bad. They can be a killer. So now we're, as you can see, northern Calhoun County. If you live in Calhoun City, retreat area there, we can come out of our tornado safe place. The northern part of this line, though, the northern part of this line, the National Weather Service is going with 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds as the possible hazard out of this as it's moving into sections of Lafayette, Pontotoc, and Union County. So that actually is this part of the line here, now that I say that. So what they've done is they've continued a severe thunderstorm warning, but the threat they're going with is 80-mile-per-hour winds. And you know what? That's probably right. And that's why on the number of occasions recently we've tracked this thunderstorm as a big line as opposed to the individual rotations, is you have a wall of wind. And we said this earlier, it's either wind from a tornado or wind from a tornado or wind from straight line winds. In either case, the wind is what causes the damage. And so that's why we have to be careful. Give me a second here to get Facebook Live going for just a moment. I apologize. Severe weather. My Facebook died just a moment ago. We'll get that up and going. So if you lose power, that's one way in which you can report your damage, and that's one way in which we can give you updates there, is on Facebook as well as on WTVA.com. We do stream our coverage live on the WTVA News and WTVA weather apps. You can find that information there, as well as this. The line of thunderstorms continues moving toward the north and east, but just more and more reports here. Lots of trees and power lines down all over the county. That report coming in from Duck Hill a moment ago. So unfortunately, tons of these reports coming in about severe weather damage today, and we expect those probably to continue. So a line of at least straight line winds, possibly rotation that could produce tornado, moving northeast at speeds of about 60 miles per hour. That speed has sped up on this, the potential speed. Let's go to the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler. Now new location. Let's do a big long wide track. I'm going to track this all the way, starting the track over out around southern Chickasaw County and go up here into Lafayette County, so I can capture a lot of folks there.